lost inside you. Don't go, just stay behind my rusty line.
You know, we are newbies when it comes to this kind of 4x4, but it looks like we can't drop the gearbox without disassembling the lever assembly. The unit with the gear shift and low range levers. Something is definitely missing here. Look, it's a rack. Oh no, it's a yellow plastic bag. Clever work, well done. Now we can rest assured that the gearbox inside is clean. Let's see. Oh my god. Let me guess, somebody filled this chamber with dust and sand and then lovingly inserted this plug? No, it's just potting soil. Maybe this is a secret gearbox additive that reduces friction to zero. Well, we won't know. Whoa, under the main cover we can see years of neglect that left the gears full of black gunk. It looks nasty. Thank God it isn't covered with heavy rust. Such an interesting story lies behind this car. The transfer case is bone dry, the gearbox is wet, but not as it should be. We have to be necromancers to bring this car back to life. It wouldn't have been enough to just add oil to all the units and start driving, as you can see. It's a good thing we're overhauling this car almost from scratch. Let me pull it up and then you can pull it back. Great, it dropped. It looks so neglected. I think the transmission is in much poorer condition than the engine. I'm concerned that the previous owner drove this car with the bone-dry transfer case. Tomorrow we will be resurrecting the gearbox. I'm excited, I'm very excited. Well, we dismounted the brake drum and it's even shiny inside, considering we towed it completely without brakes. And yes, this car has drum brakes on both axles. The brake shoes are about to disintegrate, of course. The gaps in play are enormous. I just can't imagine that we can manage it. But I have to admit that it comes apart quite easily and conveniently. A few bolts here and there, and the whole assembly is in your hands. This portal hub is so small, I thought it would be heavier and bigger. Could you check the gap between the gears? It has some play, but nothing critical. Look, the breather was left open. Every centimeter of this car needs a thorough cleaning. I love crunchy brake lines. Let's crunch some up for breakfast. The second one is coming. Perfect. This backplate for the brakes is very thick. It's good for our future brake modifications. You know, this car is starting to look better. Maybe it's because we are removing all the rusty parts from it. Sadly, sometimes things don't turn out the way you expect. Initially, when I was choosing the first batch of spare parts, I saw this beautiful 4-piston caliper. It was used in some old cars, but it's super powerful and I was sure I would be able to install it on this car. Considering the new huge brake discs, it should give us enormous braking power. But then we found these Mercedes wheels, 15-inch wheels with 185 tires, exactly what we wanted. Because the stock ones are 13 inches, which is not cool, the car should look more massive and be softer on these wheels. The upgraded engine should spin them with no effort, but my plan failed in one moment. This part of the caliper with 2 pistons requires too much space in the inner side of the rim. Regular calipers have cylinders on one side and the outer side of the caliper is quite thin, so this is a bummer. I was really sure that I would manage to install them, but now I need to sell the calipers and go with a more conventional approach using single piston calipers. However, I found 300mm brake rotors, also from a Mercedes, and they will be our point of reference. Unfortunately, it's almost impossible to find wheels and rotors that match the bolt pattern on these cars' wheel hubs, but it's not a problem. We will make new holes in the hubs. And look how beautiful it looks inside the wheel. This car has never seen such beauty. As you can see, these golden calipers won't fit here, but I went to my favorite auto parts yard and found these calipers that are just as beautiful, maybe even better. They are from an Opel Omega 2.0, and look at that, it fits like it's been here forever. It has enough clearance to work perfectly. That's good news, considering the low price of these calipers. The rotors were also cheap and heavily used, but they will serve us for a while. These should be some mean brakes. They should bite really hard and maybe, even without a vacuum booster. We will see. What a stroke of luck! I found brake pads in the central warehouse, in the dog corner of our garage. It turns out that I have similar brake calipers on my Cadet. These are the widely known and widely used ATE calipers. I didn't recognize them at first. Of course, these pads have a slightly smaller working area and height, but hey, it's custom, and we need to keep in mind that the original brakes were drum on all four wheels, so this setup will be a huge upgrade. But we need to make the calipers sit a little lower, about a millimeter lower, so the inner part of the caliper bracket should be ground a little. Somebody might see just some rusty junk parts here, but I see a huge leap forward for this car. Look, Smoker's portal hub versus Healthy Man's portal hub. Beautiful, smooth, squeaky clean. Why did we paint it? It's just easier to maintain them nice and clean. Of course, an aggressive environment will do its job, but still, we are switching to the second one. By the way, the bearings and splines on the shafts are in almost perfect condition. That's a surprise for us. One of the previous owners was a radical, not because of his political opinions, but because of his radical solutions on this car. Look at this, he welded this U-joint cap to the body. It's welded on both sides. Well, maybe the seats are worn and oversized, and maybe we should do the same after the repair? I hope not. Some parts have more strength than their owners have skill. I need to say we were very surprised because we looked closer at the extracted gears from the portal hubs, and look at that. They are in perfect condition. This car has almost disintegrated on every side, but the gears are perfect. The teeth are mint, no heavy wear, no flaking. Look at the bearings. No wear on the rollers, no wear on the inner surfaces, except this one. It has a tiny trace here. Seems like a small particle of adamantium got trapped and made this small score mark. At least we know that there is a material that can damage these indestructible units. That's great. At least here we didn't lose any money. These hubs just need a little love and good oil. Let's go, pry this stubborn drum out. Make sure nothing flies into your eyes, please. Great, let's see what we have got here. Of course, it's rusty. By the way, we left this drum on the hub because we will give it to our mechanics so they can drill new holes for the new bolt pattern, and they will do it precisely. Inside, everything looks just as bad on the other wheels. Nothing new here. And look at the rear brake shoes. They are brand new. It's not a surprise. Rear drum brakes rarely work well until they are properly adjusted. So these brake shoes will still work for a while. The last part to make this engine nice and clean is the alternator, which also works as an air impeller. It's like a two-in-one design. This alternator is very weak, but it's impossible to replace it with a modern one because it sits in a proprietary spot. It was disassembled, inspected, cleaned and greased. The impeller housing was so dirty, I cleaned it as well and even polished it a little. Also, I replaced the pulley with the smallest one I could find because we need more charging current and more air for cooling. Two birds with one stone. The fan impeller was dirty, but it's okay because it sucks an enormous amount of air every second, so it should be cleaned once in a while. And now the final assembly. It's time to tighten the nut. Let's install it. Now it will be spinning at significantly higher RPM, and since it's pointing toward the front, maybe it will give us a bit more power from the impeller's thrust. Just kidding, at least it will have that nice turbo sound. Anyway, the issue with bad battery charging should finally be solved. Hey, I've changed my t-shirt, and that means the work will go faster. I'm going to clean the transmission. I think I won't rebuild it now, just make it nice and clean, because we can't wait to drive this car. I want to believe it's in good technical condition inside and just needs a little love. The gears are shifting, so that's a good sign. And the good thing is that you can service almost the entire gearbox through the inspection cover in the underbody in this car. In the future, we plan to order higher gear pairs for the third and fourth gears to achieve a higher maximum speed. It will be especially handy with the higher torque engine that we want to install later, but more on that later. And now let's clean it a little. Oops, the first damage. Build a project car in your garage, they say. It will be fun, they said. Well, now it looks like a real gearbox from the outside. Here, let me sacrifice my finger to show you better what's going on here. But it's interesting to mention that the synchronizers are not worn out. That clashes with the amount of dirt inside. The gears look perfect. No damaged teeth, no visible metal flaking. What a durable car! At least the gearbox should work well. However, I noticed a significant gap between the shift fork and the synchronizer sleeve, but it's very easy to fix. I will show you. Man, how could this collect up here at the top? I'm going to clean it step by step and flush it with gasoline and a brush to wash the grime out as much as I can. The cleaned sludge will drain out through the drain plug underneath. Let's dive deeper. I thought it would be possible to clean the transfer case without disassembly, but it's good that I decided to look deeper, because look at this! How did this sludge and grime end up inside in such huge amounts? Some people say that this old gearbox is very weak. I could agree, but keep in mind, this is a very light vehicle. And look at these parts, they don't look like toys, they're heavy duty. Considering its age and mileage, it's in perfect condition, just mint. Two huge conical bearings hold this output shaft for the rear transmission. The differential is bigger and beefier than in a Nissan Patrol, for example. But strangely, it has quite weak half shafts, though they're made intentionally weak to protect this massive drivetrain from overload in tough conditions? Maybe. Oh, and look at this fork. It has about 3 or 4 millimeters of play, or I mean wear. I'm going to build up some metal here and believe me, it will work fine. As always, I came to this beautiful workshop where tough men work. They can do almost anything using these machines. And here we are discussing the new bolt pattern for our new wheels and brakes. I think it turned out very well. I found this modern descendant of the French carburetor Solex. I think it's the best choice for this type of engine. It's very easy to tune, but it wasn't working as I expected, so I started to search the cause of the engine's poor performance, and I found it. The distributor has about 20 or even 30 degrees of play. That's because the distributor has several coupling sleeves from the camshaft gear and every coupling has enormous play. The dowel pins are worn out. We are talking about a precise system. The ignition system should be as precise as possible, but in this situation it won't give us our precision ignition spark right on time, so no stable operation can be expected. Just look at this. I eliminated all the play here. It's rock solid. It doesn't even have half a degree of play. Let me say it again. The ignition timing should be ludicrously precise. Guys, I promised to show you the perfect operation of this engine after the ignition improvement. Here it is. It runs extremely smoothly. Yesterday it drove me crazy, everything seemed fine, but the revs were randomly unstable, very rough, and I couldn't understand why. And now this ignition upgrade worked like a charm. I'm happy, really happy. I wish you knew how much we want this car running, we just can't wait to drive it. But instead we are stuck in the garage and there is a lot of work ahead. The car is so neglected that it needs a lot of patience. As you can see, even our dog Ray wants to have a spirited ride with us in this car. Well, that's how the piston turns.